about to hear the recorded audio diaries of Michael Swain, Adam Ganzer, and Abe Epperson, transmitted to you from another dimension through the wonder of podcast technology. Lost in the multiverse, they have to dig into a different piece of multiversal fiction each episode, in the hopes of finally discovering a way back to their reality. How do they know this isn't their reality? Because one of them is being a real asshole. Will our heroes ever make it home, or will they inadvertently explore our obsession with multiverses, alternate timelines, and parallel worlds, and tie it all into a conversation about postmodern art, pop culture, and what it means to be a human right now? This is Escape from the Multicurse.
Yo! Whoa! Okay. Abe?
Go.
I think we did it. I think this time we fucking did it, buddy. I think...
Well, we might be in the right universe.
I'm hoping because for those of you who are listening to us, you need to know we're on a hell of a journey. In fact, we've been on this journey for much longer than any of us can tell. And that journey is trying to find our way back into our home universe. But unfortunately, we're stuck in this seemingly endless multiverse, right, Abe?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one portal to another at this point. Hey, when you go through, does it do you get gassy? Do you fart?
Oh my god! I always thought that smell was the multiverse. That's how it smelled. And once we went through the baked bean universe, I realized, oh no, I'm
farting over here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Michael.
Yellow wheelchair rolls in. I am also here. So I had there was no clean wet time for me to enter. I'm also
so sorry.
on the journey.
You did
the
it.
Multiverse. We're trapped together.
Whew, I'm glad we're all here.
I thought the premise was this time I don't know about you guys, but I feel at home in this universe. I'm hoping that we are in the right universe. And maybe over the course of this episode, we'll find out if we are or not. Maybe. I don't know.
That would be good. That would be a cool thing
I
to
would
do.
love that. I would love that. So let's review the plan that we agreed on. That was the best way to get home. Okay, so what we're going to do is, and on this podcast, because apparently we decided this crisis needs content. That's how we decided to deal with it.
That's right.
We are going to talk about the specific multiverse that we're in, and the phenomenon of multiverses at large in our pop culture, and from that try to deduce observations about maybe why are we so culturally obsessed with multiverses and so their little siblings, time loops and parallel universes, as artifacts of culture and as artifacts of meaning, and sort of what does that mean? Because we believe that discussion will finally bring us back to the home universe. And
it's both. That's right. It's both. We're going to analyze and get home. Synchronize? I thought I had a rhyme on deck. Oh, I thought I had one. Dave, you were saying?
We always fuck it up, though, right? Because one of us is always an asshole. And is right?
So far up till now.
So far, we can't get home.
It's always turned out that one of us is wonky. Yeah, it's clear a dead giveaway is not
That's
but
right.
This time, I'm just saying, I look around, I feel fucking at home in this place.
All right.
I think Abe's the asshole.
That's a thing I like to hear. That's a thing I enjoy hearing. Yeah, so that has been our problem so far, is that we've never gotten all three of us back to normal. Hopefully that won't be a thing that happens in an ongoing basis on this podcast
the
/ dilemma.
Pendejos, as they call us.
All right, so I propose that we start our first step, which is we're going to consult the multi-map.
Portal Pals, alternate title for the pod, Portal Pals, and we portal
really
through
keep hitting that?
To the first segment.
I think that actually is just an affectation of Michael. He really wants that to be the name. But I'm starting to think that maybe he's the asshole. I'll take this if you don't mind, Adam.
I'd love to hear your thesis.
I'll be the first to turn on the multi-map. So yeah, we watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. AKA Doctor Strange Saves America.
I'm looking in Abe's eyes and I can tell that he's the asshole, and I'll just stop there. But you go ahead.
So the nutshell is basically Wanda's sad because her robot is dead and her magical children no longer exist. So she finds a girl named America who can multiverse hop and wants to like suck out her juice. And Doctor Strange must decide between killing America or stopping Wanda before she destroys or rules all the universes.
Right.
So we all watched it, yes?
Yeah.
Here's my takeaway. Like, what's going on with the morality of like the MCU? You know, because first, Doctor Strange during Endgame made the choice for the greater good, which worked, right? But now we're not supposed to do that in this movie, apparently. On the other side of the spectrum, vigilantism, who I guess is kind of, that's usually in superhero stuff, but like it's kind of Wanda right now, you know, like that's a moral pitfall, and we show that in this movie. You usurp the want of the greater good for the goals of like the few. So I'm wondering, which is it? When things are their darkest, do we go with the moral choice to save everyone and spite the few, or spite everyone to save the few if we can? And I think that they keep taking a cop-out, that these movies, they have the only way out of this dilemma without any form of moral corruption seems to be a situation where you can save everyone and somehow save the day. And that's just not a great way to navigate this tough moral question.
Interesting.
So that bothered me this time. That's all.
So would you say that Marvel is that Marvel's using morality in a way that's contradictory because of the multiverse? Is that what you're saying?
I think it's they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and they're not showing us the growth that's necessary for like for example, Doctor Strange doesn't, I feel, grow in this movie because he's just randomly choosing things, and it works out for him.
He's got a ponytail. He's alive. He's dead. One of them changed. This is growth. What do you want, dude?
One of them does.
Zombie pony with a ponytail? We are not ready for that.
Did you say bonytail?
It's the asshole. Why correct? Why nitpick? You know what I mean? Why
that is an issue. I see why that's a problem.
Can I go?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want.
Well, first of all, I don't. In the future, we should not plan this over text because Adam, you shortened it to Strange in the MOM. So I thought we were covering the Strange in your mom. And I was like, but you've seen my dick lots of times and described it in detail on the podcast. So this is kind of, redundant. This is a movie.
How dare you impugn my mother, by the way?
If you want to know what I think about this goddamn movie.
We're not in that place in this relationship. You can't just do that.
Check out the Director Piece Theater where someone named Michael Swaim, who I claim to be, but I don't mean to give anything away, discussed Doctor Strange as, I think I'm paraphrasing or close to quoting, like a perfect microcosm of institutionalized white supremacy. And this movie follows somewhat in that grand tradition. It's the story of a woman who's bad because she wants a nuclear family, but is willing to reach out into the infinite multiverse and control outcomes in order to get it. Versus Doctor Strange, who is a billionaire playboy in a tux sipping a martini at a wedding and saving the universe. And it's good that he controls outcomes because he's the responsible cis white man who we can trust and, hand the reins over to safely as like a smug, self-centered Adam, you'd love him. He'd really resonate with you.
All right.
With like a surgeon type.
Settle down.
I don't think I do. See what happens in parallel universes and so on. That's
a spicy take.
It's a pretty spicy take.
Spicy-ish.
I think this is very telling of a movie that is essentially the flagship movie of multiverses, which themselves are this sort of dizzying, fractalizing, or can be, and that's the way I think this franchise uses multiverses. It's like, look, it's infinite universes. Isn't that mind-boggling? Isn't that like dizzying in the same way that our visual effects sort of evoke fractals? And yet, this movie is a great example of the Flynn effect about people getting smarter generationally, because it starts with a scene that takes place with an alternate version of our protagonist in an alternate dimension, and they're speaking like multiple languages in the scene, and it takes place in an alternate dimension, and the audience is expected to instantly deduce that. And I just think it just goes to show that we're all very, very smart now, and it doesn't do us any damn good. We completely squander it upon the dry and dusty earth because all this story basically says is we can do this. We can get really complex and you can understand it still.
And they're right.
There's no broader message or greater like thing here. It's Sam Raimi having some fun, and damn, he does. And sometimes it's really, really, really fun. But as a piece of postmodern art, I think it stinks.
Oh, spicy in multiple directions.
Yeah. I'll leave you with this image. This is a movie where they at one point visit an alternate Justice League type group that stand for freedom and justice, and they drag our hero in front of them in chains in a 10-foot pit where they have giant thrones assembled in a semicircle above him. And I just think there's a lot of mixed messages and weak messaging and storytelling in this. I'm the asshole, you guys, I admit it.
No, you just came out and said it.
That's the ultimate asshole move. I'm blowing up the premise in the middle.
That is a real an asshole move. You really have ruined the podcast.
Yeah, you could have settled for that way of doing this and not the mocking my mother piece. But okay.
No, you know what I could have done? I was so close to doing the opening bit from Anderson's, but for the whole episode.
God damn it. Oh, God. God damn it.
Look forward to that someday.
That's what an idea. What a concept. Okay. I had some relatively simple takeaways that I suspect will be true of a lot of multiverses, but they felt particularly true of this one. And that is that the concept of a multiverse is a philosophical having your cake and eating it too, because it's really still kind of a conjecture theory in a lot of ways. And it satisfies the craving that I think human beings have for eternity and like infinite regression. Like we're obsessed with that concept, and I think have a built-in interest in it, and also have the problem of eternal regression with most of our explanations for how the universe came into being. And this is an attempt to solve that problem, but eternity is also incomprehensible to us, and thus the multiverse always becomes a playground for bits and sort of ancillary problem solving, and never contemplates its infinity. To wit, there are so many things in this in this multiverse that are actually semi-permanent. One thing is Doctor Strange's character. His character is actually semi-permanent, meaning the quality of his being and his moral character retain consistency across all the examples of him that we meet, and that's posited as a general theory about him by this alternate Justice League that we meet. The
Illuminati.
Yeah, the panel of judges called the Illuminati. They posit maybe all Doctor Stranges are a threat. And if you have a real multiverse, that is a silly fucking assertion.
Yeah, because some of them are like color splotches or cartoons.
Right. Some of them are silly little puddles. You know what I mean? Like it's literally all things that it could exist or do, like they do exist. That's what the multiverse means. All things must exist. And infinite permutations of those things must exist, right? So, like, that means there's an infinite number of Doctor Stranges that have that sick-ass ponytail. You know what I mean? Like, haircuts. All of them have
all
it.
kinds of haircuts.
Right.
But some of them are just, like, slightly more yoked than the others.
Or spoilers, they all have exactly the same, but the thing that's different about the universe is that time a fly took off, that time it didn't take off, that time it looked left. It's like, you know what I mean?
I think
it's a
the funniest shit...
I'm sorry, I'm going to finish my points, gentlemen, because we're mapping the multiverse.
Is the stuff that I will say later when
That'll probably be true, and I'll hate it.
What a polite asshole.
You really are. I'm very impressed with that.
Look, we're all assholes, gentlemen.
That's the real problem with this premise. It's that we're all kind of assholes. No, so that's the biggest takeaway I had, is that the multiverse satisfies the materialist in us that wants there to be what you might call a sort of naturalized scientific explanation for eternity, but never actually grapples with it, and instead uses it as a sort of like playground bag of mostly memes That's how this universe uses it, and steadfastly refuses to interact with the actual infinity of it, therefore rendering it mostly meaningless, and rendering all the choices in it mostly meaningless. That's how Marvel's choosing to use it so far. That's my map among the stars. How does that sit with you, gentlemen?
Well, the most hilarious thing to me is the fact that the first movie was essentially ended with Doctor Strange sacrificing himself nobly, quote unquote, learning humility by dying infinitely, like as Jesus might, to a demon so many times that he eventually gets to live and take credit for that and be a superhero. Right. So it's like the ultimate. I thought that was as far as wish fulfillment could go. In this one, they reveal that of all the infinite Doctor Stranges with all their cool haircuts,
hell yeah,
he's the special one.
He's the most strange. Yeah,
you're the one who can be trusted. And it's like, wow, I didn't think he could get more special. Good for him.
But hold on, though. He's all those things, and he's still unhappy.
And he's unhappy.
Because there is no happy Strange. You know what I mean? I think that's that's what we're really subtly implying, is that it's impossible for him to be happy. And that's why the premise is stupid.
I think it should be said for the Marvel fan people out there. I don't think it's been necessarily said that the multiverse is infinite. They said that they look through hundreds.
Right.
At one point in Endgame, though,
millions.
I think? Well, I guess this is not multiverses as much as he said that I went through like 14 billion permutations, and this is the only one where we survived.
But it's arguable whether he was looking at futures and chance or more different dimensions. Yeah.
Like suddenly a multiverse pops in and gets involved. I don't know. But
they usually don't explain that shit.
They don't say, we don't know. I assume it's much like our universe where it's like, it's very, very big. Big enough to be like there's any kind of planet, but we don't actually know how big, and we don't know if it's infinite. So I don't think that takes the wind out of the sails of your argument, though, because
I think you're right.
We know at the very least color splotches in cartoon universes and universes where you're just like a fart, just farting up the place. Like that is on the table.
We know that firsthand.
So little small permutations, like I am copy paste me, but slightly like sometimes I just like have bigger poops, or something like that. That's not that big of a deal.
Sometimes it's Kung Fu Hustle ripoff universe, so we fight with musical notes, stuff
it's
like
true
that.
That was like, pretty cool.
It feels like so far in pop culture, the media piece that's been more clear about defining exactly the parameters of the multiverse is probably Rick and Morty. Which perhaps we'll get lucky enough to stop by a universe with that as the primary
universe,
thing.
Yeah.
But so you're right that Marvel has not said it's infinite universe with infinite permutations. And someone who's listening to this podcast is probably screaming right now, Adam, don't you know that the multiverse theory as it exists in science doesn't necessarily premise or sort of posit this idea?
No, they're probably screaming, delineate the segments. Isn't this the second segment? You fucking maniacs! You drove right through the portal.
What a jerk! What a. I wish there was.
Are
a
we
synonym
not?
For jerk.
Are we not in the second?
I think
segment?
we are.
I think we are.
I think we can.
So
we are
we should
now.
say that.
Yeah. That's true. I'll say
Bad
it.
Portal Pal.
This is Verses on Verses, where all of us talk about, I don't know, what's this movie contributing to the multiverse question, and let's talk about the movie. The bulk part of the podcast.
Yeah. So Adam, continue.
Are you happy now?
Yeah,
Michael.
I'm thrilled.
Did that check your little box that you have?
So we're just
asshole
gonna be
Mike
jerks.
is very officious and bureaucratic.
Oh, good.
That's where it's starting. It can grow from there.
It's true.
I might be a British jerk someday with a ponytail.
So, I have a question.
Great.
Because I do want to stay on this infinite, the
yeah.
recursion aspect, because I think it's very important to the game of the movie. Like, the multiverse can't really function, to me. That's one thing that they never really got over. I know this is a little bit like, well, actually, but it's weird that they don't address it, right? Because if the multiverse function in the way that they're saying, at any time someone can just pop into our universe and be like, I am a threat where I'm going to blow it all up.
Right, exactly.
And so like time basically stops, right?
Is that meaning also stops. You know, because like all of our arrangement of how space-time, facts, history, all those things work depends on a constancy of like a history of timeline and meaning, and the multiverse as a premise, if it is what we're saying, infinite permutations, erases that the minute that those dimensions and permutations are not distinct.
I think that movie would be good. One that addresses that and talks about that.
I agree.
But anyway.
But that's a tough movie to make, because you're saying meaning is meaningless.
Right. That's the goal is, and I think you'll be surprised how many different things, like the multiverse is all things to all films. And in this case, it's fairly simple what it is. I really compare it to, like, we used to have the Wild West was, when we were cavemen, it was just darkness. Then eventually it's space and under the sea, or inside man's humanity's mind. We always want the other, the frontier, the unknown, the place where the crazy thing comes from. And Doctor Strange is sort of just that. And I think it's interesting that one of the character, the new identity character, America Chavez, who we sort of root for throughout, it is literally, her power is, I am able to navigate the multiverse, almost as if, like, again, I can't say enough that this is like the most vanilla, which it wants to be. Doctor Strange is like leading the way in multiversal pop fiction as like its message is a recursive pointing at what it itself is. Like, all it is a sign saying, all right, folks, we're doing the multiverse. Don't worry. To your left, don't stick your arms out of the cart. This is going to be the multiverse. You got it? You understood that was the multiverse? You got it. The experience is over.
Even say that. They even say that throughout the film in the sense that they keep saying, "Where's he from? The multiverse."
It's like it's introducing everyone to the multiverse, and making sure we're versed in it, so to speak.
Right. Which, I mean, I understand why they need a film like that for a general audience, because what is possible in the multiverse is, again, the deconstruction of meaning. You know what I mean? And that is a terrifying premise for us, because that's the end of Marvel movies. But I think
but the raw talent of Krasinski carries it, so it's hard. You can look past that.
You love taking a shit on him.
Elevates it so much.
You love it. Hey, do we want to walk through the actual story of it and sort of make our observations?
Relevant moments.
Beat by beat? Yeah.
You got one?
Yeah. So, I think I could do an entire podcast on the ponytail that we see up top, but can we just say so? Like, the first act of this movie and the introductory sequence are as follows. So we meet a Stephen Strange who's not our Stephen Strange. It's a ponytailed Stephen Strange. One might argue a cooler one, but that aside, he is running with America Chavez, who is we called her the identity character, and that's true insofar as she has one power.
But really, that power is.
Yeah. That one power is being able to jump between dimensions. But of course, she can only do it when she's in a moment of great stress. So she doesn't have control of the power at this point. Her arc will be marked by gaining control of it, obviously. So they're running from like a fire Medusa. What would you describe?
He plugs his ponytail into his cape, activating it. They ride the cape to safety.
The Navi.
Yeah. That's right.
And then, as Abe so eloquently said,
no.
He slurps the juice.
Let's not jump.
He slurps the
juice. He has to decide if he's going to slurp her juice.
Right, he does.
But no, they're fighting like a paper demon, and here's my question: at the like when they're running to get, because they're going after the good book. It's like the Book of Ashanti.
I think it's Vishanti.
Yeah. Singer-songwriter Ashanti.
The humanity, because we do want to take broad, or I do think pop culture, and this justifies our whole careers, so you're welcome, is, it's a repository of like our collective unconscious. And it's amazing to me that no matter how complex it gets on the surface, at its core, it's still, there was a bad book and there was a good book. And they're gonna fight.
My question is that and they got this paper demon in front of them. Why don't they just portal to the book? Or like, he's used portals that way before.
Yeah, why doesn't
where he's
he
like,
do that? Right.
Grab the book and run.
Well, that
Why
introduces...
doesn't anyone with magic ever do anything? You know what I mean?
Like, that's a real problem. But wait, but that is an actual problem that Marvel has.
That's a problem.
And that the problem is that unlike the Marvel of my youth, when everything was neatly described on trading cards, we never know what anybody fucking does. Yeah, you don't know what people can do, and you don't know what the limitations of their power are. You don't know, like, in a showdown between the Scarlet Witch and this Stephen Strange, she's the powerful one. Like, I don't know that. Like, and also it doesn't feel like it would even be consistent movie to movie if I did. So like the clearness, like the clarity of why that can't happen. I'm sure somebody's like, oh, well, actually, if you go back to the comic, blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, none of that's in the movie. So, like, there isn't really a reason. You know what I mean? It's not. There isn't a reason. It's dumb movie logic. And it's
that's why best Iron Man is Iron Man not in the suit. Iron Man 3 totally revitalizes the thing because there's a hard limit on what's going on that you understand.
And, like, I'm not here to shit on Marvel movies because I understand what butters my bread.
It's my job.
You know what I mean? I get it. Like, I get that people really like it. But I think that it would be more enjoyable if I understood the function and capability of each of these people kind of in a spreadsheet so that I would get more excited for these matchups. Because this is basically a matchup, right?
So send us the spreadsheets.
Well, I used to trade those Marvel trading cards in the 90s. That's not a joke. That was a big thing in, like, I don't know when that was, like early,
I'm
1991
37 and I regularly Google who is the most pouful Marvel character.
That's what I do.
And who is it?
Oh,
is it Galactus?
So many others.
Is it Legion?
So many other 37-year-olds have written whole essays that disagree with each other on the. Some think it's what's his name, the son of Cyclops and Jean Grey, because it's the most powerful mutant. And then there's like
the guy who's just got like a normal name, right? He's just like
Adam
Todd.
or something. Yeah. And it's like, is there mutant? Well, are we talking mutant? Are we talking witch magic? Or are we talking strange magic? Are we talking cosmic powers? Or are we talking metahuman power? Like, it's amazing how many flavors of magic they've actually been able to introduce.
Yeah, because witchcraft, you got, it's not sorcery is not witchcraft. It's got runes.
Yeah. Oh,
there's got to be
Strange
runes.
would never use a rune. He wouldn't stoop to use a rune.
You see all those weird drawings in his orange circles? That means it's not the same as the red stuff.
You know, we kicked Mordo out. We found his rune room. Hard to say.
Oh, they got me with the runes.
I guess I kind of I guess I'm sort of asking to have my cake and eat it too also, because I want to be able to make fun of how silly those delineations are. I want to be like, that's fucking stupid. But I'm also saying, yeah, but if I don't have those delineations, I don't understand what's going on. So, like, I guess I'm a hypocrite in that regard.
Well, one is, I don't think so. I think you're just trying to watch the movie and you react to things, and sometimes it's paradoxical. I think you're all right, baby. You're doing fine.
You know what? You're not. You're not the asshole.
Thank you. I think it's pretty clear.
Beautiful as you've ever been,
Michael. Mainly because he said it before. He was like, "I'm this." Shut up, Michael.
Shut up.
We'll put you in the box.
I think it's really telling that we're trying to go in order, right?
Kinda.
So let me at least get us to the actual conflict of the movie. So. America Chavez and survives this encounter and is unwittingly thrown into the universe with our Stephen Strange. He's at a wedding for what's her name again? I forgot the name of his Christine. Forgive me.
Rachel McAdams.
Later, she turns into an evil car.
Right. He's at her wedding. An affair that feels like, boy, I don't think either of them would have agreed to do this, but sure. And of course, America brings with her a boss from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and so he has to abandon the wedding, and they have to fight this, building-sized creature and subdue it, which leads to the question: who is this woman? And she explains, like, you were you tried to kill me to take my powers, which the other ponytailed Steve Strange did. And she reveals her power is being able to leap from multiverse to another, but she can't control it. And so then Strange seeks out help right? He wants to rescue her, and so he seeks out help.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've talked a lot. Abe, do you want to pick it up from here?
Well, I feel like there's some stuff that happens. Obviously we check in with the Sorcerer Supreme, Wong.
Yes, that's right.
And so Strange is like, hey, I saw runes. There's some runes on that. And so he goes and talks to Wanda, who recently had her robot die, and she's in the throes of grief. And we have this wonderful scene where she is in a beautiful orchard, but she's lying to him with runes. And she's like, I'm gonna get the Darkhold.
And once the ruse is exposed, she lets the forest be evil because apparently that's how she likes the forest.
That's
normally.
how you know.
And we in the audience go, yes, she
was evil. That forest.
She was hanging out with that
giveaway.
evil woods around her and red smoke. But as soon as Doctor Strange showed up on the radar, she was like, "I better straighten this forest." So
like if someone catches you masturbate. Yeah. God, I love that she prefers the horrible forest. Like that's where she wants to hang out, in this dead fucking landscape of memories.
It's
or
funny
whatever.
that you say that. I actually super liked that dead-looking forest and think it would be a cool place for a witch to hang out. I'm not kidding.
Maybe you're the asshole.
No.
Yes,
so wait.
God damn it.
Yes.
I just want to clarify one thing in case you're like me and you don't know all the Marvel things. So this takes place after WandaVision.
Oh my God.
And meaning the events of this require that Wanda lost her husband and has kids in that universe. Is that right? I didn't watch WandaVision, so forgive me.
Yeah, no. She lost her kids, and in all the multiverses. In fact, at one point she says, "I looked." She's the only one who doesn't have her kids.
Yeah, all the rest
she
of
doesn't
Wanda's,
have a vision.
Yeah.
So Paul Bettany's off the table. She's alone, and she's like, "That's not fair." So I'm gonna take some kids. But I do like the idea that she checked every multiverse. Like, how long do you think that takes?
And that in the entirety of the infinite multiverse, each universe of which contains trillions of galaxies or whatever, the one witch that does rune shit that he knew happened to be the witch that is evil, that is threatening the multiverse. So like it's super amazing detective work on Doctor Strange's part in terms of like results. It pays off so quickly.
It's pure chaos. It's the kind of thing the multiverse actually makes impossible. Because also, again, if it's an infinite multiverse, there are infinite Wandas who don't have their children. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Because they said there's not.
Well, but that's what I mean. That's the arbitrariness of it.
They just have to say, no, it doesn't work that way, or it's this way.
And I just want to stipulate for the rest of this podcast, right? I just want to stipulate for the rest of this podcast, I am aware of the fact that this may not be an infinite multiverse, and that it might be there's 7. You know what I mean? Like I get that is possible because they haven't defined it. But I think that in general in pop culture, the multiverse tends to need to be infinite to do the things they want to do with it, which is, you know, pull out anything from the rabbit hat, you know, and say, well, there's an infinite, you know what I mean? Like that's the assumption that makes it possible.
Exactly.
So
it's a bag of holding from which you can pull any trope, which and we also haven't even talked about, but yes, that is used to bank off of the Flynn effect by having Captain Carter say, I could do this all day, or putting Krasinski in as Fantastic, or, just having the X-Men 97 theme and the yellow wheelchair being the biggest example. But there's subtler shit too. Like when the starfish is climbing the building at the top, it's a fucking King Kong shot, like a clear reference to Kong climbing, past the window from within the hotel. And I just think it's interesting, especially considering that like the Marvel production title takes us from words to drawings to animation to live action clips, all projected on Marvel. It's like, it's weird that there's a production title that's like, here's the whole history of media, and then we start the movie, and the movie's about as postmodern meta as you can be, combining all the characters into a big bucket. That's right. It's awesome.
And also
it's great. I love it.
To jump ahead a little bit, they also, when they jump through the multiverse the first time, like the first big jump with this Strange and America Chavez, they actually go through a series of entertainment media formats, which implies that all of those media formats are actually windows into the multiverse in the same way that dreams are. Which is the big
dreams
offer
is
of
multiverse.
This. Yeah.
Then they had that you can puppet through dimensions other proxies of yourself. It's as complex as it could be.
Dream walking
in that sense. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
And that's kind of what that's what Wanda's doing, right? Is that she is trying to find the Darkhold, and so that's the bad book, which actually is the reason it's bad is that you never win. Like, that's the idea. You always are you'll give you what you want, but it will have to sacrifice everything, which is it's a monkey's paw, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, yeah, and so it's like she'll become the Scarlet Witch is what we'll learn. That's what the prophecy is. And that means she'll destroy every universe, trying to get what she wants. That's the prophecy. Or she'll rule them all, which is worse, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like she's sort of growing in her ability to influence people in the other multiverse throughout the film.
And you need to dream in order to dreamwalk, you need to go through another version of yourself. So she does that she takes a version of her that has kids to exact her will while she's in a room doing a chant, floating most of the movie. That Wanda, that is, until the final fight.
I actually think that power, the dreamwalking power, is more troubling than being able to cross into the multiverse for the narrative of Marvel, because it means that you never know for sure whether or not a character is operating in their own mind anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like and without access to the multiverse, you can never solve the question of, am I actually experiencing this for real, or am I experiencing what somebody else wants me to? Like it creates the Matrix problem. You know what I mean? Of like, when am I ever out of the Matrix? Once that question is now part of it.
Yeah. So interesting if you develop, especially when dreams are, they say, jaunts into the other dimensions. And that when then you look at it as like a storyteller structuralist, it's so fascinating that Wanda, and they do this very intentionally, but Wanda and Strange have the same flaw. Like Wong says to Wanda, you can't control everything. And Christine says to Strange, you always had to be the one holding the knife. And she calls it out in the freaking trailer. I do what you do, and me bad and you good. No fair. And so they're literally like, it's just as recursive as can be, which is so funny to me. And yet it's so different from the other movie I would describe as that, which is Synecdoche, New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so recursive. God,
it is asshole Mike.
But in a different way.
He's got a
where they're
tongue,
like,
babe. Did you notice
it's two characters who are reflections of each other, and they each have multiple iterations of themselves, and those iterations can puppet each other. And it's like, it's static. It's a static of nonsense. But I will say it leads to one of the moments I did actually think was legitimately chilling, which is when he says, all the dreams of you falling from a high place was me murdering various versions of Doctor Strange, which was cool.
Pretty wild.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty
cool one-off concept.
I also love in Synecdoche, New York, when Philip Seymour Hoffman controls a zombie version.
Oh, opens his third eye.
Yeah. Opens his third eye and moves his dead ass.
So just to like be clear with the audience, so like the second act of this movie is basically Doctor Strange and Chavez kind of finding one other multiverse and then going to a second, basically. So we kind of really only see 3 universes, right?
And one of them is essentially a flashback multiverse. Yes. It fills us in on their backstories, which implies more complexity because it means the timelines are not aligned. Like you could go to a parallel universe and it could be identical, but at a different time. It's ridiculous.
That is a thing that I find very interesting as a writer, but not for this, not for what Marvel's going to do with it.
Sure.
But in general, I find that very interesting. So they visit basically 2 or 3 universes, and in that process we learn a couple of key facts. Like, these are the facts we're going to take away forever from this franchise, right? One is Strange is a willful, difficult man in every single permutation, right? So no matter what universe we get with Doctor Strange, no matter where we go, he's always going to be an asshole who has to deal with his own ego, which he has done to some degree, successfully or not, and he's sort of untrustworthy. Well, and in all the worlds, right? Like he's a little bit dishonest, and he thinks he knows better than everybody else, and he will do something disingenuous to.
But gosh darn it, he gets the job done.
Right. He's a means end guy. Like, that's who he is, and that makes him dangerous. That's sort of the ultimate conclusion about him that we leave the film with.
It's the Council of Ricks episode.
Of course.
They literally drag him in front of a council and say, "You're the danger." Yeah.
Well, and I don't think it's a coincidence, therefore, that also in Rick and Morty, they establish, after they do the one big universe hop, which is a cool thing they did, and we'll talk about that some other time, but they establish the Rick we're following in the show is the most Rick. And the Strange we're with in the Marvel universe we're consuming is the most strange. You know what I mean? Like, he's the special one, right? Because if we weren't doing that, then what we would have is a tale that is utterly meaningless, because we can just hop into another multiverse where none of that happened. Right, that's how they're getting around that problem.
Blows up his own skull, and it's fucking awesome.
That was super fucking cool, right?
This is super chill, dude.
So in meanwhile, really what they're doing is they're trying to stop Scarlet Witch, who's trying to, I guess, she's just trying to kill them and get America Chavez into her hands so she can take her power. That's what she's trying to do.
But she's going to cause an incursion and destroy a universe by doing so.
Right, because she doesn't care.
At minimum, because the prophecy goes on to say when she does have power, she's going to destroy all universes or rule them.
Well, Abe, I think that brings up my favorite test case for your theory, which is in the middle of the movie, they ask a question of Scarlet Witch, and that is, can't you be happy knowing that these kids are in good hands in the other universe? And she says,
and other versions of you have that life.
And she says, no, I can't, right? And then is willing to basically destroy untold millions of people for her own personal happiness. And I need to ask you, Abe, morally speaking, is she wrong if human life is rendered meaningful only by their existence in the multiverse? Is she wrong about that?
I don't think that that's how you define.
I know that,
life,
but I'm asking. But I think
merit.
But I think that's a question.
Is she consistent?
Yeah.
I mean, she can develop her own consistency. That's the things with villains, right? I'm fine with that aspect of it.
I find that very troubling.
It's very troubling, but it's also, that's the mind of a villain. I think the more troubling aspect is that when the hero makes that same decision, it's seen as, well, it's for all the good reasons.
Right. But which means they're
kind
of
like what Mike was saying.
But they're actually investigating that question on both sides of it, and they don't make a decision.
What you get is this is a kind of deep movie. It's got moral quandaries that I should investigate. But when you look at it, it's all just ash in your mouth. It's like, this is just garbage.
Definitely.
It's preaching one thing and doing another.
Well, and because ultimately the way that we get around this moral problem is that when she comes face to face with her impact on the kids she's trying to steal, she realizes, I am a monster. And it's like, I understand the reality of, you only realize how much hurt you're doing to people when you can see it. Like, I get that that's a real thing, but like,
true. This could have happened at any time.
It's totally absurd. It's patently absurd for her to, for us to buy that moral change in a person when she's already murdered billions of people.
It doesn't feel as earned. And in that moment, it just feels like a moment that happens. That is,
you're blowing right past the spaghettification of national treasure John Krasinski, and bring it up not for nothing. I think it's important to note that this is another, as will be a recurring theme on this podcast, the multiverse is postmodern in its sensibility, and if you don't know what that means, I use it in this sense to mean. It has a baked-in understanding of all the art that came before it, and it has access to a diverse array of different artistic disciplines and subgenres. And this is yet another one of these multiversal postmodern deals like Invincible or Deadpool 2 or The Boys spoiler alert, where we pull a bunch of amazing cameos out of the bag and then kill them all, as if to say, which I think is a fascinating statement, and it is kind of, I agree, and I'm waiting to see what's next, as if to say all that postmodernism can really offer is we can combine a bunch of shit, and we can even kill that shit. Like, fuck it, kill Mickey Mouse, kill McDonald's, whatever. Then what? And I do think that's a question that art is legitimately grappling with. And it's interesting that it coincides.
It is fascinating.
With a time in the world where a lot of people feel like we're wrapping up, or like the world is on the verge of collapse.
Yeah, we're unraveling.
Yeah.
Like the
or we're in a transitional state.
The structures that have held society and meaning together, like, or even language, however you want to talk about that, are unraveling because we are flying that close to the sun with these questions.
Unraveling like Krasinski spaghetti.
That's right. Which was, if this is PG-13, by the way, if I was 13, that would haunt me.
That was
insane. For real.
Yeah, totally insane.
Also, it does bother me that Wanda is like selective. I know we kind of mentioned this, but like in this fight, it really does. I'd be interested in someone who's like this. That didn't bother me at all, because like, why would there even be a fight between Captain Carter and Wanda? She literally just spaghettified like everyone. Why doesn't she just like mental smoke bomb?
And yet
spaghetti?
Captain Marvel can get killed by being crushed by something, which seems odd to me.
She has shown that she doesn't even need to touch people just to turn them into little babies with poopy diapers. And it's just like, I don't understand why you don't use that tactic every time. It's like the winningest tactic. It's like just spam that button.
But also the dude makes a cape by tying ghosts together. No part of that makes sense from any of these lenses.
I mean, it makes sense from the rad factor. It's rad.
We're writers, so sometimes we're like, oh, that bothers us, and it's like, just enjoy the ride, man. And I get it. Some of you are probably saying that right now. Just enjoy it. And it's not like, I mean, I do, but it's like also pointed out also.
Well, that's the problem is weird. I think that, I mean, certainly there will be a percentage of people that are like, hey, man, the movie happened to my face and I liked it. And that's fine, dude. I'm not here to ruin that for you. But I do think that part of enjoying the ride is, for human comprehension, is being able to attach meaning to imagery in like a narrative way. Like that's the experience that movies and really all media offer on some level. Is that like I'm able to attach significance and importance emotionally to these objects I'm watching. And in movies, that's through the narrative structure, right? So when you start unraveling that, you're daring the audience to care anyway. And I think you're not always going to win that battle. You know, like there's going to be people who are like, wait a minute, how do the fucking ghost capes work? You know, also there's heaven and hell in all these infinite universes. What does that mean?
Yeah, there's Asgard or whatever. Yeah.
What the fuck's that mean?
What's the deal?
Yeah.
In the words of the film itself, this isn't what your children would want. My children will want what I magic them to want. That's not in there, but it should be. So anyway, to catch us up plot-wise, she America Ratchet and clanks her into Mustafar, and then they show her kids what a bitch she is, and that undoes her and makes her take it all back. Yeah. It's great.
I have a question about zombie Doctor Strange.
Sure.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like he's been rotten in like in a building that other Doctor Strange put him. I guess it's Ponytail Strange, right? So zombie Ponytail. Yep. He definitely shit himself when he died, right?
Oh yeah.
Like Doctor Strange is operating a shit covered corpse. I just want that to be clear.
That's a stinky corpse.
That thing stinks. Oh, what do you think the dark hold smells like? Like, is it mummies? Is it made out of
skin and scabs?
Is it like mummy dicks?
Yeah, I mean,
you think it smells like mummy dicks?
I have a feeling that in this journey we're gonna be in a place where we smell the exact smell. I'm not looking forward to it.
I do like, and this is not a joke, which I know will disappoint many of you. We'll get through it together. That in Infinite Dimensions, responsibility sort of becomes spread out over all the characters, which is a structure we're getting way more that we used to not get. Meaning, like in Tarzan, dude's got to go. He's a piece of shit. He gets hung by a vine or whatever. Like, it's very clear. Or like Hans Gruber has to fall a great height. It's interesting that in this, functionally, the tragic third act sacrifice, where there's a scene where we're like, that's sad that person had to die for the events to proceed,
right,
is the villain. The villain is the tragic third act sacrifice. That's how much sympathy they actually muster for Wanda. And we see that more and more, which is cool. Like, I like that there's no one to blame because it's so complex that you can't go... Because one thing that the infinite multiverse implies is the butterfly effect and that sort of idea that, well, you can't control any of this shit. So it's not really, you can still muster some sympathy for Wanda, which I think you have to as a multiverse.
You act like that's new territory, but the DC universe has been doing that for like a decade now, which is why like Morbius is like a great film.
Something we skipped in the intro. We won't always cover movies. Something. Oh, that's how you know I'm the asshole. I kept notes on what you missed in the intro. That's the real good one.
Thank you. That's a really good one.
We won't just cover movies, right? Because I want to do like Amalgam Comics at one point, which is the first time DC and Marvel were like, fuck it. We're crossing over, baby. Right. Shit like that. I think we should do some of that stuff.
I totally agree.
Like, have a matchup. Get out our spreadsheets. You fucking
That'd
nerds.
Be so cool. Like, what
I wouldn't
cool
truly
thing.
I wouldn't truly be an asshole if I didn't use this as an opportunity to plug my shit. So I also want to say,
God damn
that
it.
if you really want to know what I think about multiverses, bros and sisses and NBs, check out fucking a video I did at IGN that's quite long but good called Why Time Loops Are the New Zombies. And it's called that for algorithm reasons, but that's a good video primer for what we'll be talking about on the rest of this show. And I love doing it with you guys.
Also, check out After Hours. Have you guys seen After Hours? Check that out. That's on crack.com. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I refuse this bit.
Dude,
I refuse
in
it.
our universe, it's called Before Minutes. I think you're in the wrong universe, you guys.
It's called Broked over here. Hey,
yeah,
are
I
you
did
guys
Before Minutes for Broke.
Familiar with the literary theory called deconstructionism?
Yeah.
By Jacques Derrida.
Oh, I don't know about a specific dude. I feel like you're going to
I'm not going to tell you too much about it because I think it would be a little bit tedious.
D. Writer.
Yeah.
D. Writer.
But I think in some ways, some of the ideas that he was putting forward in terms of how meaning is constructed actually relates really well to what the multiverse is trying to do, which is like one of them is like sort of that meaning is only a secondary aspect of writing in some ways, like, and that writing is a sort of secondary form of communication to speech, because in speech intent is more immediately clear because the person's there. Like, these are some of the ideas that he's putting forward, and I'm going to be studying it a little bit for this podcast because I think it's fun. And I think that what we might find is that it's sort of haunting where he ends up with his ideas and where the multiverse inevitably leads to. Like, I think there might be a parallel journey with some of the deconstruction ideas and the multiverse. So track that.
I feel like that's going to help us get out of our current dilemma. You know what I mean?
Maybe, like, I've only read a little bit of Derrida. I'm not a big scholar on him.
Dude, I'm trying to transmit that I'm the asshole character, and you're making it really hard. You're giving me a run for my money, bro.
By bringing up deconstruction, come on, literary theory
Actually, I'm gonna do some reading on Derrida.
Okay.
Just because you don't like philosophy, Mike, now you are the asshole.
Right. Well, only one of us is hurting the rest of us for their jokes.
Get out of my dimension. Let's wrap this shit up.
He said it out loud. Okay, so this is the final. I mean, this is a nonsense segment. This is called Closing the Wormhole. This is where we decide what we're gonna do and how are we gonna get out of here. Or are we going to get out of here? This is not
It's legally distinct from the end of one-upsmanship because there's 3 options. You can, legally distinct. You can close the portal and stay in your own universe.
Okay.
You can switch and live and close the portal and live in the film universe. Or you can leave the portal open, meaning you would merge the 2 universes. And it's just like, what would you do? I think that's all it is, right?
Well, yeah.
What would you do?
It's very confusing to me.
It's highly confusing.
It's very confusing.
Well,
to me,
I think.
So I'm gonna.
Can I say one thing about this premise here that I think will help us, and that's that, like, every film that we're gonna explore, I think you're gonna see this across a lot of these. most of the time the answer is going to be like, the place we started was the best place all along, right? Like,
it's only going to get worse.
That's a thing that we're going to keep hearing in these films because
it's the one
right. It all goes to, this is the special boy, right? Because it's the only thing that gives the story we're going to tell in the multiverse meaning is if going back home is what the right answer was. And I think
no, you're right. Keep or delete, Adam. You keeping or deleting Doctor Strange too? Go for it.
I'm just saying that I think an honest analytical look at what the multiverse is like through these three options tells you sort of like, is that fucking schmaltz or is it true? You know, like, is there an improvement here or not? You know,
that's true, and I think that most movies, and definitely it's applied to the multiverse question. That we seem to have. I love how far Doctor Strange will go to say that. Doctor Strange literally says, like, even if you're unhappy, this is the one you deserve.
You get what you get.
This is yours.
And you know how I know?
Because
mine is great, and I get what I get.
That's the implication that, like, well, how come some people can be happy? They're both like, Doctor Strange isn't happy because he doesn't have Christine. Wanda's unhappy because she doesn't have her kids or a robot. And even Christine at one point is like, in the end of this movie is like, he's like, look, I'm just so alone and scared. And she's like, you face your fears, buddy. Go be alone, Steven.
I still think I think that her existence as a character and his ability to now transcend across multiverses just implies that there's going to be all kinds.
He's going to have other families through proxies and other universes.
It's going to be incursions in the sexual sense, friends. It's going to be tons.
By the way, the third one's going to be called either Incursion or Secret Wars, right? And start the Secret Wars arc.
Yeah,
I think
I can see that.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. So I just think that that's important when we're closing this wormhole or deciding what to do with the wormhole. I mean,
I thought it was more of a before minutes observation where it's like, would you live with the rules that this multiverse implies? Just clever response.
I think that's right.
I say, shaking my finger like Daniel might.
Mm-hmm. If I have my way, I'm fucking this wormhole.
I'm closing this wormhole. Well, that was
I'm closing this
wormhole. I'm closing this wormhole because I actually do think there's multiverse movies that have rules that I would be totally fine abiding by. I find the Marvel multiverse, you can't trust it. You look away and look back and the rules are different. Like, it's just too, especially this one, more even than Doctor Strange and more even than Endgame. This one was wild with the rules, very fast and loose with the rules, which made for a fun Raimi moments here and there. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to connect this madness to my universe.
I agree.
I really think that
100% with the asshole.
I really think that the possibility of being controlled across dimensions by somebody you could never reach is a terrifying prospect. Like that, and that's the main concept of what is going on.
Dreamwalking into your reality.
Yeah, that's
scary.
like, it's like, you know what, man, even if I wouldn't be aware of it, I don't want to objectively know that's happening in the world. That alone to me says, let's close this wormhole.
Is like, let's close this wormhole.
Zip it up and zip it out.
Zip it out. We are no closer to finding our own home because this is clearly not it. But guess what? Next month, we're going to be figuring out if a new one. It's another chance for us to get home, and you're in for the ride. And I think this is a good time to say also that this is a free episode for everybody, but we're probably going to put this behind a paywall, right? You know, like, I don't know. So Patreon, please.
Oh, then I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, he's left.
Can I just say,
he's not going to do the
so mean to my mom. That is not a thing Swain would do.
What is that?
Swain would never do that.
That is something that's really weird. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't expect Swain. You'd expect that Swain. There'd be a little Swain in there, and I just didn't see it at all.
What a shitty Swain he was.
What a shit bag.
Swain. God.
Well, at least I have you, buddy.
Let's find her.
So I'm gonna pop into this portal over here, and hopefully I'll see you on the other side, and hopefully we'll be these versions of us. That would be
beautiful sweet Swaim eyes that would never harm me the way this one did.
You know, I don't, even when he's like the right Swaim, I don't like him that much anymore.
He's a problem. I'm glad you said it first. I'm glad you said it first.
I mean, now that it's just us two.
Like, oh my God, am I right?
Am I right? All right,
yeah.
That's an episode. You motherfucker, get out of here.
Bye.
This has been a Small Beans endeavor. We're a bunch of pals who make podcasts, sketches, music, web series, and movies. The Beans always have new ideas percolating, so make sure to check us out at patreon.com/smallbeans. That's patreon.com/smallbeans, where you can browse all of our current and past content, see what we've got planned in the future, and learn how your support can help the Small Beans grow into huge, giant monster beans. If you enjoyed this content module, please like, rate, subscribe, or tell a friend about us. We love you!